You can't control whether this trade wins. You can't control how the market moves. But you can control whether you followed your process. And if you measure yourself by the only thing you control, you never have a bad trading day again. Just days where you executed or didn't. That shift from outcome to process changes everything. Because outcome-focused traders live on an emotional roller coaster tied to results they don't control. Process-focused traders stay steady because they're measuring themselves by execution, which is entirely within their control. One creates chaos, the other creates consistency. Here's what you control. Whether you waited for your setup, whether you followed your entry rules, whether you honored your stop, whether you took profit according to your plan, whether you managed your position size correctly. That's it. That's the list. Everything else, whether the trade wins, how much it wins by, whether the market respects your analysis, none of that is in your control. The market does what it does. Your job is execution. And if you did your job, the day was successful regardless of the P&L. That's what process over outcome means. You redefine success as adherence to your plan, not as profit. Most traders do the opposite. They measure success by whether they made money. And that sounds reasonable until you realize that profit is a lagging indicator of process, not a measure of whether you did your job. You can follow your process perfectly and lose. You can break your process completely and win. Neither result tells you whether you traded well. What tells you that is whether you executed your plan. And if you're judging yourself by outcome instead of process, you're creating an environment where doing the right thing feels like failure when it loses, and doing the wrong thing feels like success when it wins. That's backwards, and it's why outcome-focused traders stay inconsistent. Process-focused traders ask different questions at the end of the day. They don't ask, did I make money? They ask, did I follow my plan? Did I wait for my setups? Did I honor my stops? Did I take profit where I said I would? If the answer is yes, the day was a win, even if the trade's lost. Because the goal isn't to win every trade. The goal is to execute the process that creates an edge over time. And you can only do that if you're measuring yourself by what you control, execution, not by what you don't, outcome. The market will handle the outcome. Your job is the process. Here's the liberating part. When you measure yourself by process, you remove the attachment to individual results. A losing trade doesn't make you a bad trader if you followed your process. A winning trade doesn't make you a good trader if you broke your rules. The outcome becomes irrelevant to your self-assessment. You did your job or you didn't. And that clarity removes most of the emotional volatility that keeps traders stuck, because now you're not reacting to what the market did. You're evaluating what you did. And what you did is the only thing that matters for building long-term consistency. This doesn't mean you ignore results. Results are feedback. But they're feedback about your edge over a large sample, not feedback about whether you executed well on this trade. If you follow your process for 100 trades and the results aren't profitable, then you look at your edge. Maybe the strategy needs adjustment. Maybe the market environment changed. But that's a different conversation than whether you executed well today. Today's job is process. The edge reveals itself over time. And you only get to see the edge if you execute the process consistently enough to generate meaningful data. That's why process comes first. Always. So here's the shift. Stop asking, did I win? And start asking, did I execute? Stop measuring yourself by profit and start measuring yourself by adherence to your plan. Stop tying your identity to outcomes you don't control and start tying it to the process you do. Because the traders who succeed long-term aren't the ones who win the most. They're the ones who execute the most consistently. And consistency only comes when you measure yourself by what you control. The market controls the outcome. You control the process. And if you focus on your job and let the market do its job, the probabilities take care of the rest over time. You can't control whether this trade wins, but you can control whether you show up and execute your plan. And if you did that today, you won. Even if the trade didn't. Because winning in trading isn't about this result. It's about this execution. And if you keep executing, the results follow. Not every trade, not every day. But over time, the math works. And the math only works if you stop chasing outcomes and start honoring process. That's the only thing you control. And it's the only thing that matters.